This video will work through problem 7.2 from Gapenski's Healthcare Finance, 6th edition. So in 7.2, we're presented with a radiology clinic, audiology clinic that has 3 services along with their cost and utilization. And so part A asks, what is the fee schedule for these services, assuming that the goal is to cover only variable and direct fixed costs? So basically, we're looking for a break-even price, right? So this is very much like 7.1. So we have to calculate the price, break-even price for each of these 3 services. So the basic, so remembering, profit is going to equal 0, and profit is equal to total revenue, which is unknown in this case, but for basic, it's going to be 3,000 visits times price minus the fixed costs, 50,000, minus $5 in variable costs times 3,000, so 5 times 3,000. So that's 5 times 3,000 is 15,000. Minus 50,000 is minus 65,000. We can add 65,000 to both sides, so we get 3,000 P equals 65,000. Then we have to divide through by 3,000, and we get P is equal to 2167. 2167. So I'll put that up there, 2167. For advanced, it's the same idea. 0 equals some unknown. We have 1,500 visits, so it's going to be 1,500. The revenues are going to be 1,500 times the price, minus fixed costs of 30,000, minus 1,500 visits times $7 per visit. That's our variable cost. So 7 times 1,500 is 10,500. So 30,000 minus 10,000 minus 30,000 minus 10,500 is minus 40,500. So if we add that to both sides, we get 1,500 P equals 40,500. Divide through by 1,500, and we get P is equal to 27. Finally, so we'll put that in there, 27. Finally, therapy is, again, we are assuming 0 profit, 500 visits, so the revenues are going to be 500 P, minus the fixed cost of 40,000, minus the variable cost, 500, times $10 per visit for variable costs. So 10 times 500 is 5,000. So we get costs are 45,000. Add 45,000 to both sides to get rid of the costs. We get 500 P equals 45,000. Divide through by 500, and 45,000 divided by 500 is 90. So P equals 90. So we'll put 90 up here. Whoop, 90. 90.00 for our price for therapy. All right, so part B says, assume the audiology department is allocated $100,000 in total overhead by the clinic, and the department director has allocated 50,000 of this amount to the 3 services listed above. What is the fee schedule, assuming that these overhead costs must be covered? To answer this question, assume the allocation of overhead costs to each service is made on the basis of the number of visits. Okay. So we have $50,000 that we have to allocate to each of these sections, and we're going to do it based on visits. So using our 4-step method, Our cost pool is 50,000. Our cost driver is going to be visits, and we want the total number of visits. So that's 3,000 plus 1,500, that's 4,500, plus 500 in visits, that's 5,000. So our cost driver is going to be 5,000. So our allocation rate is going to be 50,000 in cost divided by 5,000 per visit is going to be $10 per visit. So then we allocate the additional cost to the different services at a rate of $10 per visit. So with that information that the cost per visit of overhead is $10, we could just add $10 here and we'll get our 3167 new prices, 37 and 100. Or you can resolve this. So we'll do it the hard way and resolve it and demonstrate that. So for the basic service, remember, profit's going to equal 0. We have 3,000 visits times some unknown price minus 50,000 indirect fixed minus 3,000 visits times variable cost of 5 minus 3,000 visits times overhead of $10 per visit. So this is now minus 50. 3,000 P minus 1,500 minus 30,000. Sorry, 15,000, not 1,500. 50,000. So we have minus 50, minus 65, minus 95. Add 95 to both sides. We get 95 equals 3,000 P. And 95,000 divided by 3,000 is equal to 3167, which is what we estimated here from our original price of $21.67 per visit, plus the $10 in additional cost per visit from the overhead, brings us from $21.67 up to $31.67. Okay, so now solving for the advanced, again, we're going to assume profit of 0. We have 1,500 visits in this case, so 1,500 times P gives us our price. Fixed costs of 30,000. Variable costs are going to be 1,500 visits times $7 per visit minus 1,500 visits times $10 per visit and overhead. Allocation gives us 1,500 P minus 30,000 minus 1,500 times 7 is 10,500 minus 1,500 times 10 is 15,000. So 30,000 plus 10,500 plus 15,000 gives us 55,500. So 1,500 P equals 55,500 in costs. So P is equal to 37, which again matches what we assumed up here when we calculated $27 per visit last time without overhead, and then we add $10 per visit in overhead. That brings us up from $27 to $37. And finally, for therapy, we assume we have 500 therapy visits times some unknown price. We're going to, again, set profit equal to 0. Minus the fixed costs. Direct fixed is 40,000 minus the variable cost, 500 times 10, minus the overhead cost per visit, 500 times 10. So that's 5,000, 5,000, 40,000. So that gives us minus 50,000. So 500 P equals 50,000 in costs, and therefore P is equal to 100, which matches our third number, because earlier we had calculated without the overhead that the price would be $90. Adding $10 per visit in overhead brings us from 90 to 100. Okay. Now we're going to assume for part C that we have to make a total of 25,000 in profit across all three services. So we're going to allocate the profit requirement the same way that we allocated the overhead, which is by using visits. So instead of a cost pool of 50,000 in overhead, we have a cost pool effectively of profit, which is 25,000. Again, we're going to use our driver of 5,000 visits, and then our rate that we have to share out is going to be 25,000 divided by 5,000, which is going to be $5 per visit in additional expense. So without doing anything else, we could look at the amount that we figured out we had to charge in order to cover the direct costs and the overhead of $10 per visit. So we start with the direct cost per visit of $21.67 plus the variable cost per visit. Sorry, the variable cost and direct cost was $21.67 per visit. When we added overhead per visit of $10, we're now going to add $5 in profit requirement per visit. So we could go and we could simply add $5 to the last price we calculated. So $31.67 plus 5 would be $36.67. For advanced, it would be 37 plus 5 is going to be 42. And then therapy is going to be 100 plus 5 or 105. Now we're going to go ahead and calculate that out. So we assume for basic, for basic, we need to have profit of $5 per visit times the number of visits. It's going to be 3,000. So this is our profit, right? And then our total revenue is going to be 3,000 visits times some unknown price minus our 50,000 in direct costs minus 3,000 times 5 in variable costs minus 3,000 times 10 in overhead. So this is our variable, this is our direct fixed, and this is our overhead. This is our total revenue. Right, so we're saying, all right, we need to make, in this case, we want $15,000 in profit to come from the basic service. 3,000 in times the price is going to be our revenue, and then combining our costs, we have 30,000 in overhead, 15,000 in variable costs, so that's 45,000, 50,000 in direct fixed, that's 95,000 in costs. I add 95,000 to both sides, and I get 3,000 equals 110,000. And then I divide both sides by 3,000 P, sorry, is equal to 110,000. I divide both sides by 3,000, and I get P is equal to 36.67. All right. Then I'm going to do same thing for advanced. I want $5 in profit times 1,500 visits. My total revenue is going to be 1,500 visits times some unknown price. My fixed costs are 30,000. My variable costs are 1,500 times 7. And my overhead is 1,500 times 10. So 5 times 1,500 is 7,500. Then I have 1,500 P minus 30,000 minus 7,500. Sorry, 10,500 So let me just write that out so I don't lose track of it. Minus 10,500 minus 15,000. So I have, got to add that up. 30,000 plus 10,500 plus 15,000 equals 55,500. I'm going to add 50. So this is 55,500. I'm going to add that to both sides. And I get 1,500p equals 63,000. Divide both sides by 1,500. And I get p is equal to 42, which is what I set up here. So we had 37 last time. We started with 27 when we only had the direct fixed and the variable cost. That gave us 27 per visit. We added $10 per visit for the overhead, so that brought us up to 37. Now we're saying we want to make $5 in profit per visit, so 37 plus 5 is 42, and that just confirms this. So last is therapy. We want to make $5 in profit per therapy visit. We have 500 therapy visits, so that's going to be 2,500 in profit. Our revenues are going to be 500 times some unknown p. Our fixed costs are 40,000 per visit. Our variable costs are 500 visits times $10 per visit, and our overhead is $10 per visit times 10 visits. So that's 5,000, 5,000, that's 10,000 minus 40,000. So we have 500p minus 50,000. I add 50,000 to both sides. I get 52,500 equals 500p. 52,500 divided by 500 is 105. So, which confirms what I also calculated a minute ago, right? So when we first started the problem, we just did our variable cost of $10 per visit plus the 40,000 in direct costs, gave us a $90 per visit price. Then we said, let's add $10 per visit to cover overhead. That brought us up to 100. Now I'm saying I want $5 per visit in profit. So I add 5 to the 100, that's 105. And that just confirms our math here.